Affects the kick. Still a live ball. The Irishman McKenna to start his day right. Levi Ashcroft to Neil in a tight spot. Hooks it back inboard. McLaughlin. Turnover. Charlie Cameron to get himself involved. And that is painful. The GWS Giants roar back into the season and rewrite the record books.
Yeah, let's get this done. It is the Brisbane Lions Fancast with JB and Patrick. It's all thanks to Hop On Brewery Tours, EB by Hiker, crisp marketing. And the big question on everyone's lips this week is it over? We will do our best to answer that. And, of course, in no way will we answer it, but we'll certainly have a bit of a chat about it as we get absolutely smacked by a record-breaking third quarter by the Giants. If they said it once, they said it a million times during the quarter there. It's always the bloody Giants, Pat. It's always the bloody Giants that just seem to do something to us, break our hearts in one way or the other.
Would we call that breaking our hearts or just making us really angry?
I don't know. It felt like, I know we've sat here before over the last couple of years questioning whether, this team has got what it takes. But I feel like we're sitting here again, and coincidentally again after a game against the Giants, where we think to ourselves, has this team got what it takes to go all the way in September again? And as David King is putting it, the she'll be right attitude of, as long as we get to September, we'll be able to turn it all around. It's feeling further and further away. And, if you combine the last 2 weeks, pretty poor performances, and the last half against Carlton, it's not looking good for our Lions, and the injuries just keep adding up too.
Yeah, I mean, we've had some bad performances over the years, but I think it might have been, and we'll come to that horrendous quarter, but sort of, I reckon about 10 minutes into that quarter, I said, I think this is the worst quarter of football I've ever seen.
It was very reminiscent of the first 10, 15 minutes of the game last week against Geelong. And I thought to myself, we got blown out in that first 10, 15 minutes in quarter 3 against Geelong. Surely they addressed that at halftime. No.
Well, at least in that Geelong game, I think we hit the post twice and 3, before they kicked a goal. So we at least had something before. But the big one for me was that at a point, GWS had 40 more disposals than us, yet we're leading the tackle count for the quarter 14-5.
Good, huh?
And that to me, I was like, oh, okay. It's kind of the case where we made some adjustments and it went, and we were kind of burying the lead. I don't even know if that's the correct usage of that phrase. But things went so wrong lots of little things went so wrong, and lots of little things went extraordinarily well for GWS. But we will come to that. I mean, I can answer give you the Cliff Notes version. I don't think it's over. And I don't think the she'll be right attitude. I mean, I've stayed away from AFL media since yesterday, and I didn't really, I tend not to, surround myself in the gloom. Plus, I've had bigger and more fun sports to watch.
Well, that's right.
Past couple
Says
weeks,
the man wearing his Arsenal top right now. He's at least got something to cheer about.
I had to take the edge off this morning by watching all my players lift the trophy up, which was, unfortunately no Ryan Lester moments, but there were some good ones. So that's why I'm a little bit tired this morning. So it's been good. It's been a good week, but it's been a horrible week. And I think the monkey paw that is my existence of, it's you'd think two teams that are pretty good and are generally at the top of the table would win on the same weekend more than they do, because it surprisingly doesn't happen very often. It's really weird. So now that that's kind of done, we can sort of go on with the other one. So the team was weird.
The team was weird, and it was really upsetting to see another out in our back line for, just that stability rocked again with Ryan Lester obviously coming down with some sort of calf injury during training. Still no Zelko, still no Berry, still no Answorth. Will Mack gets his first game. It was hard to make an idea of what was going to happen on Thursday when we had the extended bench, because ZZ was back in the team. Shadow Brain was mentioned. He was named as well, but the out Ryan Lester was probably the biggest one, and of course Cody Curtin got dropped as well, which probably not all that surprising, but with another sort of tallish figure going down in the back line, maybe we could have held on to Cody for another week potentially. I don't know. Ty Gallup obviously came back, which was a welcome change, and then Will Mack gets his first game for the year. We've gone through. I was thinking about it, a lot of squad this year. Like, if you had said to me at the start of the year, Annabelle would play, Cody Curtin, ZZ, Connor McKenna is, one of our most important right now. Lincoln McCarthy would be playing regular games. Will Mack's playing games. Jimmy Tunstall's playing regular games. Sam Marshall's got a couple of games as well. Dara Joyce has played. Like, we're reaching into the depths.
When you say it like that, and I really don't think it's a stretch. And I can talk about the playing style, and I have things that I believe are correct as to why things seem so badly when there are, changes made, But when you put it in that sort of perspective, there's no way you could look at it and go, well, if Oscar Allen had played every game, and if Hipwood was there, and if Jack Payne was there, and if Jared Berry was there every week, and if fucking McCluggage hadn't missed a month, and if Will Ashcroft didn't have half a cybernetic body, we would be playing better, because we would, Zorko as well, and it's like, it just would happen, and there are reasons for that. And we can do you want to talk about the game first, because it was an immensely frustrating first half?
It was, and we were doing our best to hang in there, because we had some good moments. Rayner, 2 ridiculously cheap goals, and you think to yourself, maybe that's what he needs to get a bit of form and find his way into this season. But a cheap advantage call. And then a ruck contest free kick. Like, what is going on here? Logan Morris was doing 90% of the right work, and then just couldn't hang on to a mark, or was not getting a free kick paid. Like, the umpires were heavily involved.
Yeah,
but
he's
missing some weird ones.
Yeah, like Logan Morris is missing contested mark nearby. You'll have to forgive me. My cat is chosen now to take a shit. Sure. So any of that crumbling you can hear is that. So we'll put a timer on and we'll come back. Like Logan Morris is missing contested help up in the forward line, and that's where I think, if you look, I don't think having Cody Curtin there, or putting Zach Kostelski back and having Gallup forward would have really made all that much difference. But the umpires were horrible, and I don't know about you, but this season of AFL feels a bit like a weird fever dream. Like, it seems like there are weird things going on where I'm almost looking through like a hazy lens at every game, where the umpiring is terrible, players are doing weird things, there's all kinds of story, but it feels like there's no it feels distilled in a weird way. It's a really hard thing to explain. If anyone can maybe sum it up a bit better, hey, finished. Then maybe you can help articulate the point better, but it feels like there's a lack of visceralness to it, or something, where, you look at it and go, cool, like the Sydney and Geelong game's on, like that'll be a really cool game, and it just sort of isn't. It feels a bit like it's lacking in a bit. I don't know, it's weird. AFL's weird this year, and the umpiring's fucking terrible. Terrible. Anyway.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
You love footy, so bearing in mind, I'm the cynic and you're the footy lover. So you've got your rose tinted glasses, and I've got my weird, like the lenses are broken and one of them's missing and been replaced with a sunglass lens. So
I think, from my point of view, from what I'm seeing, and probably just like specifically through a Brisbane Lions lens, is it doesn't feel real in the fact that it's like, okay, like we haven't got our team together, but once that happens, it'll all be okay. And I guess at the start of the year, in the first couple of rounds. It's like, okay, well, once, if Jack Payne comes back, once Eric Hipwood gets back, and those couple of injuries that we had, it's like, okay, we should be right in the back half of the year, and we'll actually get going and we'll actually get out of second, third gear, because it doesn't feel like we've done that yet. But we're not banking the wins in the meantime, and the injuries are just still happening. We're not getting players back in the right time, and it's just sort of like, okay, now rather than getting those players back as a luxury, it's like we need those guys back. But then it's like, okay, well, we're going to welcome them back, and it's just going to cause more disruption. Like by the time Oscar Allen comes back, it's like, okay, well, he's missed that much footy. We're going to have to, ease him back into it. But we probably don't have that luxury to do that, because we're going to need to start banking wins. Same with Ainsworth. Like, what happens if he comes back in and gets knocked out again? It's like, all right, well, is Jimmy Tunstall our man? Because I don't think he is. And they clearly don't have faith in Shadow Brain for whatever reason, because they just simply won't pick him. They just keep going back to the well with Jimmy Tunstall, and it's like, right, we're reaching for the panic button at this point, because I do think there is an element of that, like, okay, yeah, like we will be okay. Like we've seen this episode before and we know we can dig ourselves out of it. But unless you actually start digging in and showing some sort of intent and effort and, care, then it is not just going to happen on its own. And I think there's a bit of all right, it will just happen. But we need to be winning those games of football, because while we've got injuries, like GWS were missing so many players, like no Taylor, no Hogan, no Darcy Jones, who's torn us up. Whitfield's laid out. Jack Buckley's gone in the first 5 minutes. They're playing no Green. They're missing a whole bunch of players that are really, really good. And, there's a bunch of players on that team like, Fonte, McMullen. Harvey Thomas has come a long, long way, and he taught Sam Marshall a bit of a lesson across the weekend as well. There's just players that have been second-string players for the Giants that you don't really they're not household names, but they perform their role really well. And then you got guys like Stringer and then Toby Green and Grucheski and all that. And then on top of that, you got Will Ashcroft, who is getting more and more tape on him every week, is so out of form. Jasper Fletcher is desperately out of form. Zach Bailey was really poor on the weekend. Cam Rayner simply can't get going this year. Josh Dunkley's struggling to get going. Harris Andrews has had the worst 3 weeks of footy in his life. He was a bit better on the weekend, but he just hasn't got the continuity and support around him to help him out. Like usually, at least he's got Froggy Lester there as a bit of stability, but he's gone. Like I've doubted this team before, and I'm loath to do it again, but that was really bad. The last 2 weeks have been really bad.
Yeah, and I think you can look at it and go, well, you look at style of play, and if you're comparative to the way GWS play and the way that we play, GWS have been really inconsistent, and when they get it wrong, it goes wrong. But their game isn't necessarily... It's kind of... If you put it in two camps, they're kind of more of a physicality-based team. So they're the fucking Orange Tsunami. They're run and carry. It's not heavily skills-based. I'm not saying they're not skilled, because they do have skilled players. But when you have a game style, which is what ours is, which is heavily built on skills and cleanliness, and the contest is really important, but what kills us more than anything, and I think what's killed us more in these last few games, has been the turnovers. And not even turnovers leading to goals, because we've been smashed in clearance, but just turnovers leading to pressure and leading to stoppage, which then is what is used to kill us. So it's almost a false economy when you look at it statistically and go, well, yeah, we're getting smashed on clearance, but the reason those clearances are happening is because we're panic handballing it to a contest where someone gets tied up and then the ball comes back the other way. There was some really weird things happening at stoppage in the third quarter where you look at it and go, I can see what they're trying to do, because they're loading up behind the stoppage. But then they're hitting it forward to all the GWS players. So, make that make sense. So what I'm trying to say is that game style is fine, and the kick mark is fine, and the penetrating kicks inside. When your team are 10 out of 10, 9 out of 10, 8 out of 10, and 1 7 out of 10 kicker, that's fine. It works great. But when you start to remove pieces from that, and you are relying on, and I don't want to be harsh on these people because I don't think it's their fault. But when you drop down the skill level 1 or 2 points, and you've got, you know, your Tunstall's there, you don't have Zorko, who's a 10 out of 10 ball user. You don't have Leicester, and you're relying on lesser users of the ball, or people that could be but aren't quite there because they haven't quite been assimilated into the team in the right way. Everything is going to drop off, and you can't just click your fingers and go, yeah, we're going to change our style to kind of hide what our strengths have been in order to be a better team with what you've got. It kind of doesn't work. You have to go back to the drawing board entirely, which is sort of impossible with where we are. And you go, well, should we have kind of created this knife edge way of playing football? And then you go, well, we won 2 premierships playing it. So it's a pretty good thing when it works. It's just at critical mass, because you go, well, we don't have the personnel to play the game. Have you ever watched Coach Carter?
Yeah. Rich what?
Yeah. You know how he says, you're not physically conditioned for the way that I want to play basketball. That's kind of where the team is at right at the moment. We're not skilled enough to be able to play football the way that we play football. You know, we talked about it weeks ago about the Easter Monday game, and how that is just such a different type of football to what we are used to seeing, and the reasons why. And these reasons why, it's a double-edged sword of it. And it's like, we need players to play the way we play, and we can't just sidestep into another method. It sort of doesn't work. And like, and it hurts when you've got established players like Fletcher and like McCluggage that are out of form horribly, like really not playing well. And they're not, you know, Fletcher gave, you know, and I'm not pointing him out because we know how much I love that guy. But it's like, he gave up 2 turnovers to goals. One was a holding the ball, and one was just like, you could see his head go, I'm not kicking the ball well, so I'm going to make a conservative, like take the conservative option. There's the kick, and he didn't commit to the action, and then it turns over and leads to a goal. And it's just like, even when you're trying to do the simple things, it's not working.
Yeah.
So that's my little take on the state of the team, and kind of why we've got here, because you look at it and go, that GWS quarter was an absolute anomaly or an aberration or whatever you want to call it, but we all saw it coming. Like, every fan knew that was coming. Is it Michael Voss's fault because we tried to keep him in a job and stopped playing football and never picked up playing football again? I don't know. I don't think that's me trying to add some levity to the situation, but that's my 2 cents on the general state of play. What do you think about the
it's
insane
interesting
ramblings?
Because I get what you're saying. And on top of that, like, it's another year where, you know, the rest of the competition has gone to work on, you know, what the best teams do, which has been us, and shut that down. So there's another element of another preseason of teams going to work and like, all right, how do we stop this? Because we need to stop this if we're any chance of, you know, progressing. So there's that element to it. And I mean,
can I interject slightly? It's funny that Adelaide went to work to try and be like what we're doing, and they've also struggled.
Yeah. So, I mean, the game, as we know, there's a lot more up and down movement, a lot more transition, which we are struggling with big time. Like, that's been said. It's been pointed out. And I don't know if you caught on Channel 7, there was, I can't remember the fella's name, but he was talking, it was Andrew Russell, who's been the former fitness boss he was at Carlton, I think he was at Hawthorn as well. He was talking about, you know, the way Brisbane play, like, we produce far less sprint efforts, far less Ks covered across the ground, across the season, like, and the numbers are staggering. It's like in the thousands of, like, because of the way we move the ball, of that kick mark game. It also means that in the back half of the year, when other teams have run themselves a little bit more ragged, we seem to have a little bit more energy, and what we've seen in Grand Final Day in the final series and stuff. So he did point to that a little bit, but it could explain why, you know, these last couple of games have gone the way they have. And it's the same thing that happened against the Giants as well. Is that just over the top, the checkerboard, like, one player gets sucked up to protect the ball, and then it just goes over the top to the next bloke who's free, and who's suddenly got. And it just is always against the Giants that we seem to find a bloke 20 metres free in the forward 50, and they just don't miss a goal. And it's so frustrating.
Well, I think we verbatim said that 2 years ago.
Yeah.
2 years.
It's every time we play them.
Yeah. And it's like, that's really interesting with what you're saying with Andrew Russell. And that's the thing is when we lose control of these games, we lose control of fucking everything, you know? Yeah. Not just the game, but yeah, the ability to even get back into the game. And I you know, that third quarter was like insane. It was insanity. Like by the end of it, when Charlie Cameron kicked that goal, I was like, just don't have it.
Yeah.
Fucking let them have. Like, I was like, they don't deserve to get a goal here. Like,
I was a bit like that myself.
Let the staircase be complete. And I know that's an absolutely reductive and horrible thing. It's not fan culture, but at the same time, I was just like, if it's going to be bad, have it be bad. Don't silver lining this bad boy.
Yeah, I was a bit that way as well. I was like, I got to the point, I was like, let this be 100 points. Let them get kicked in the teeth and feel it.
No, I didn't. I know it can't be 100 points because there's every sort of statistical anomaly that's out there in the footballing landscape. You know, you've got your premiership windows, you've got, you know, winning premierships from outside the top four. The one that is basically the ties that bind every premier is not getting beaten by 100 points. And I think it's been like 78 years or something like that since that's happened in a season. We saw Sydney get dusted by 100 points against Port a couple of years ago. It couldn't be 100 points because that's the only thing.
That's what you're holding on to now at this point.
Superstitiously that I'm like, that and you being like, let's do the podcast after the game. They're the two superstitions. He went again. You know, and the other thing was that I spoke to my brother at halftime, and then after the game, I'm like, we can never talk at halftime in a football game ever again. It's just, it can't happen. Because last year, he I think before we played them, he said Cadman was shit, and Cadman kicked 5 goals. So it was like all of my superstitious chickens coming home to roost. And as we all know about eggs, they're fine until they hatch, and they all hatched.
Yeah.
So the last quarter was no one gave a shit, and we, you know, I think I wasn't really paying attention. In fairness, I was just trying to kind of like.
I started doing stuff around the house and had it on the background. I was like, but even the broadcasters didn't give a shit. Like, because the game ended, the song started playing. Like, all right, well, here's Melbourne Bulldogs now. And normally I would be so dirty on that quick cutaway, but I was pretty happy with it on the weekend.
So you did what I did. I did that in the 2020 prelim final against Geelong, where we were getting belted at 3/4 time, and I'm like, I'm just going to rearrange my office entirely, and that was a good idea. But I was just sort of, the Discord was pretty. I think people understood the absurdity of it, but it, you know, geez, man, it was not good, and it's been not a very good couple of weeks. But at the same time, it's like they got to do something. Yeah. I think the onus is firmly on the players, and there's been a little bit of talk internally in this community about Fagan and the press conference and stuff, and whether he's kind of protecting the players too much, or whether he's being too kind of, I guess, vanilla with the way that he's speaking. I thought it was just a guy that's like, some things have gone wrong here, and I haven't really figured out how. And he strikes me very much as a coach that needs to understand the why and the how behind the situation. So I don't think that he's willing to, like, I don't think at this point in time, like, cutting loose on the players is not going to be helpful, because when you're dealing with, it's different if you're shit. Like, and don't get me wrong, we were shit, but we've also won 2 premierships. And, you know, I said it's like, ironically, you're dancing on thin ice when you go to rev up players in this kind of exactly the situation. You can lose the playing group. So I don't begrudge him not being firmer in the press conference. I
No,
guess.
I think. I guess it is more. It would be for show for fans and members, but I guess he's been pretty steadfast and pretty consistent across his entire coaching career. That he's got trust in the players, and it's up to them. And as you said, next week is going to be up to them. And whilst last year that game where we got dusted by the Suns, and there was a little bit of fire in Fags' eyes, where he came out and said the midfield got smashed, and he said that's a 1 week thing. It better be a 1 week thing. And you could see it was very pointed, and we got a response. So,
But the difference is that, and I get that Fags trusts his players, but the thing is, he trusts Ryan Lester, and he trusts Jared Berry, and he trusts, Hipwood and guys like that. He doesn't necessarily trust Will McLaughlin and Sam Marshall and Jimmy Tunstall. Maybe he does trust Jimmy Tunstall, that's why. But I don't think that the level of trust is the same. So that's why I don't think there's any value in berating, because you're berating half the group. If it's if you're going to split it up, then you've got fractures all over the place. So do you know what I mean?
Yeah, but I guess he probably trusts Will Ashcroft, and he probably trusts Jasper Fletcher, but I would imagine some of that trust is being tested right now too.
Yeah, but if you put it squarely on them, then it means that the guys that aren't involved in that are on the injury list, are not involved. Whereas it's kind of, and I get that they're not playing, so it's you're not culpable. But I think for a togetherness thing, there's a reason for it. But that's my armchair psychology expert nonsensical ramblings. So,
well, what do you think? We've got Freo, who are, a game clear on top of the ladder, and, they would be so thankful for the rest of the results this weekend that they're just sitting pretty on top there. Their list is really good. They're playing good footy. They've won 10 in a row. It comes at a good time for us, I guess. So all Fags needs to do, not necessarily throughout the week, but yeah, I know you're keen for this. On Saturday afternoon, 4:00 at the Gabba, all he needs to go and say, look, show the rest of the footy world that you still want to be here and you still want to, try and get 3 in a row. But it's going to come at least 2 changes this week as well, because he's said that Berry and Zorko will be right to play. Apparently Zorko was sort of on the edge to play this week. Answorth is, theoretically right to play as well. And we're going to need as many troops as we can, but then it's more instability. It's another week of 2 or 3 changes.
I think the instability is fine when it's established players. So when you're it's like you're putting the round peg back into the round hole. Yeah. You're taking out the octagonal piece.
Yeah.
Which kind of fits. So it's sort of, I think it's fine when it is guys like Jared Berry and guys like Zorko that are so established. Or key position players that have played a lot of football. So it's the little, and the weird thing is just that our midfield is all virtually there. They're just not playing very well. So is it an element with Draper and Fort not being quite, going, or I don't know. So,
well, they're going to have their work cut out for them big time with Jackson and Mason Cox. And that midfield, so I don't know if Sarong will be right to play, but, Hayden Young is a gun. They got Brayshaw. Shai Bolton is having, good footy underneath him again. And then, Josh Tracy. Harris Andrews has got a big week ahead with Josh Tracy, or whether Darcy Gardner gets that role, then it's a miss. Then they got Dudley there as well, and it's going to be a tough.
I reckon they'll try and put Voss on Harris Andrews surely to just try and destabilise him. And then you've got the little other Reed, who's smooth Magoo mover. I still don't think they're as good defensively as they are. The numbers are putting up. I think the numbers are kind of because of other things. So I don't know if we can get clean ball going forward. I think, but then at the same time, we don't have any players forward of the ball. So, it's a strange one. Maybe we really are limping to the bye. But then you look at the first 2 fixtures after the bye. I think we play Geelong and Sydney, and it's oh my, what again?
Yeah.
Why? Where's West Coast? Did you hear this, by the way, that we've played Geelong. We played Geelong 6 times.
Yep. In between
playing West
games,
Coast.
Yeah. Yep.
I know that's kind of, there's a lot of other mitigating circumstances around that, but still, that's a lot. That's insane.
It is a lot.
Yep. Let's do some votes. I feel like, much like the Dreamtime game last year, these votes probably shouldn't count.
Yeah, but, it's a bit like that.
Check out the best breweries across Brisbane and the Gold Coast with Hop On Brewery Tours. Book a half or full day tour at hoponbrewerytours.com.au.
I just managed to find 3 to give votes to, so Wilmot gets.
Can you go first?
Yeah. These votes, of course, thanks to Hop On Brewery Tours. Book yourself a half or a full day tour at hoponbrewerytours.com.au. Wilmot gets my 3, and even he had some pretty regrettable moments, but he at
least is trying to get things happening, and I was a bit harsh on him last week because I think when Zorko's not there, he's really like, you would think Coleman would be the fulcrum of getting the ball out of defence, but it really is Wilmot, and Coleman, he's more of that transition player, and it just And 2 for you,
Neil, simply for breaking the record for most 30 disposal games ever. He's overtaken Gary Ablett now, and Josh Dunkley the 1.
Yeah, see, I didn't even know he got 30 disposals. I thought he was having a horrible game.
And
he's had a terrible milestone, a terrible birthday.
Yeah,
you can't exactly,
I thought Levi was all right. He had some good moments. Charlie Cameron did what he could. Logan Morris, as I said, had such an almost game, but not much to really cheer about. Hugh McCluggage did some nice-ish things. I thought Will Mack did some nice-ish things as well, but a very forgettable game that I'm happy is in the rearview mirror.
Yeah, fair dues. I think I'm going to go Wilmot 3. I think I'm going to... Lohman seemed like he was at least trying at some point.
Yep.
I don't know when, but I think I'll go Coleman 2 and Lohman 1, just because I like Kadeem Coleman, and there was a good tackle where he got out those like little tiger claws, and I like that. Fair enough. Some pretty feckless votes to go with a feckless performance.
Yeah, not great. Not great. And as you would imagine, the 2s also got dusted up. Well, not dusted up, but they got...
they stayed with them for a while, and then they just sort of at the end decided that...
Cody Curtin, though, obviously taking his AFL experience back to the VFL with him kicking 4 goals, 3. But other than that, like that instability personified there in the VFL, just they're cooked. So
it's funny because like injuries are a weird one because living in where I live, I know some Richmond people who've had bad injury problems in the past as well, and you go, and I sort of, you get asked, what happened? You go, well, we're missing a lot of players, and they go, well, we're missing a lot of players, and it's like, yeah, but the players you're missing are shit. Like, they're not getting into any team. Whereas the players we're missing are getting into every team. So that's the difference. So knock-on effect to the 2s. Poor 2s.
We've already half spoken about the changes. I mean, Ainsworth, he didn't say anything in the press conference. He specifically mentioned Berry and Zorko and said they're going to be good to go. So you'd imagine those 2 come in for Marshall and Tunstall, most likely.
Did he not say that last week, though? Yeah, see, I mean, I don't know who to trust anymore.
Yeah, Ainsworth's still a bit of a maybe. If he comes in, it might be for a McKenna, perhaps.
Yeah, see, I mean, I wouldn't mind seeing another body up forward, which I know is a bit reactionary because we're like, Cody Curtin didn't look like he was doing much, but we just need need a battering ram. And these calves, man, like, what's going on? Because we've had, 5 calves this year, and they've just been a lot. Every single one has been longer than anticipated.
Well, the Zorko is a quad rather than a calf, apparently. So, that's strange. So he had the calf, came back, and then missed. And he looked good in that game he came back against. I can't remember who it was against. But then, now a quad's kept him out the last couple of weeks. It's no bueno, though. And we don't know the severity of Ryan Lester, whether it was a proper tear or just a strain or just a bit of awareness. So,
and Lincoln McCarthy's done tendon damage as well, so he can't catch a break. So, and then this is sort of it's his like solid I talked about him earlier in the year. I'm like, it's these players that they stand still when the chaos moves around them, which enables the team to kind of have semblance of structure, which all of them are missing. Because, Kalamarchi and Starcevic were both those types of players too. So just a shout out. It was good to see Starcevic play some minutes for the West Coast second Eagles, Teagles. I don't know. Not that I saw any of it. I just saw, when you're sitting there and you're watching the fallout of the game and you see big, bold Starcevic pop up on the app as having played for you, you're like, oh.
Yeah. And Archie came back into the Adelaide team and
kicked a goal. They put him forward and he looked like he was doing something.
Yep. Yeah, so, good for those guys. Should we have a quick look at tipping, which, my goodness gracious me, was very poor.
EB by Hiker is your home for away games. Live footy on the big screen, good beers, good food, good vibes. 65 Manila Street, East Brisbane.
Very poor. I got 3.
3?
3. So I got Hawthorn, Freo and Collingwood.
What did you tip in the first game?
I tipped Hawthorn by 5.
Hawthorn. Okay, yeah. Sorry, you did say that. I just sort of... what did I get? I got 5.
Well done.
Because I tipped Geelong and I tipped the Bulldogs. Because, your love affair with Riley West has been overplayed, but they were playing at Marvel, dude.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
Now, weekly winner, this can't be real. This is someone that hasn't handed their tips in and has gone to the default. But win is a win. So, Jess G, Dunkley's Donuts 5, who's currently sitting 125th on our ladder. You are the weekly winner with 8 correct tips. So you've won yourself 300 waypoints thanks to EB by Hiker, ebbyhiker.com.au. And don't forget to book your game day packages, $70 if you use the code word LionsFancast26. The next one will be coming up. I think they've got one for the Q-Cash against the Suns, so make sure you jump on board.
Surely that's not... No, that can't be a non... That's someone that's put their tips in because there's no consistency. You can't get 8 from all away teams.
It depends on what you got it set to. Like if you've got...
But not neither one nor the... Unless you had it set to all the not favourites under a certain percentage,
look, it doesn't
make any sense.
She's got the win this week, so well done.
And well-deserved, in my opinion.
Yeah. That is all thanks to EB by Hiker, of course. All right, let's have a look to next week. Hawthorn and St Kilda to kick things off. Marvel on the Thursday night. Hawthorn for mine by...
Hawthorn.
2 goals, I think.
Two?
Yeah, St Kilda, they never really get blown out too often.
Unless it's by us.
Yeah, but even then, it's only like 5 or 6 goals. Like, they're never really on the end of 80-point thrashings.
You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to put them losing by 42 points.
Sure.
Just to see how this goes. I think it's worth noting. I'm pretty sure I have the best margin in the comp. I know that's a minor victory at the best of times, but...
Well done. Geelong to beat Carlton, Sydney to beat Richmond.
Yep.
I'm tipping Freo, Bugger.
I'm tipping the Lions.
And I applaud the... Oh, Collingwood Western Bulldogs will be an interesting one at Marvel. I think the Dogs, depending on who they can get back, if they get a couple of players back, Cody Waitman might
Collingwood
be
also have 2 or 3 out as well.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
More Elliott. Apparently, Nakos is not looking too good. What the hell is T10 Traegate Park?
That is Alice Springs, I believe. I think.
Ooh. Yeah. Do you really go against a world record team?
Yeah, Alice Springs.
In the Giants?
Yeah, I really like Melbourne. And I hate myself for saying that, but I like what they're doing.
Eagles to beat Essendon.
Yeah, honestly. But Essendon are cooked. Brad Scott's getting sacked any minute now.
Okay. Is he going to get sacked like in 11:10 or something?
I mean, there's every chance that by the time people actually hear this episode that Brad Scott has lost his job.
Did I? Now, I can't remember if I said this or not, because I'm one for patting myself on the back. But did I not say at the beginning of the year that Voss and Scott would lose their jobs?
Probably.
That were my two favourites.
You wouldn't have been the only person to say that.
No, but, when you've got the amount of turnover and, like McWalter and like all these sort of, I don't know, maybe I'm just a herd mentality individual, but, which sucks because I like those guys in a footballing sense, not so much a coaching sense. Although, Brad Scott's funny. Very quotable. Questions?
Crisp Marketing are your outsourced marketing managers. From social media and newsletters to design and websites, they handle it all, so you can stay focused on your business. crispcoms.co.
Yeah, let's go to some crisp marketing questions.
Let me start. Let me start with this one.
Crisp marketing, crispcoms.co. And of course, they're giving you free Brisbane Lions Fancast stickers. You can check that out at our website, brisbanelionsfancast.com.au. Big shout out to Abby and the team again for their support. I don't have a favourite Godzilla film, if that is what you're about to ask.
I was going to say, which is your favourite Godzilla movie?
The one with... I think it was like the big one that came out in the early to mid 2000s. It had Jeff Goldblum in it.
The one with the Kashmir Zeppelin sample in the song. Was it Snoop Dogg that did that music?
Jeez, very possibly.
Did it also have Will Smith in it, or am I conflating it and Independence Day? I think I'm doing that.
Yes, you very much are.
Jeff Goldblum.
I think I could be wrong.
Because I remember there being maybe Hungry Jack's toys.
Yeah. It went big.
Because that's the one I remember, but I don't remember seeing it, and I certainly haven't seen any more recent Godzilla films, and nor do I really.
Could have been late 90s
care
actually.
To. Yeah.
It was 98, and it had Matthew Broderick in it actually. Disregard.
Not Jeff Goldblum.
No, Matthew Broderick.
So you erroneously thought it had Jeff Goldblum, and I thought it had Will Smith. So
yeah, well, I've obviously conflated Jurassic Park and Godzilla.
And okay, yeah, and I did Independence Day. So, and let's be honest, Godzilla is basically just a cross between Jurassic Park and Independence Day, right?
Sure.
I know that's being tremendously creatively bereft to all the makers of Godzilla.
Now, there's probably a bunch of people listening and watching right now that are going, why are they talking about Godzilla? Well, the answer to that question is this. If you do join our Discord, which you can via the website, that's where we filter a lot of the questions, and it got overtaken by Godzilla chat.
No, it does not get filtered. It's questions unfiltered with Hamish McLaughlin. So clearly the fact that we've talked about Source, we've talked about Turkish hair implants, and we've talked about Godzilla of any kind of film, these are not filtered enough or too much.
What I'll never understand is Japan's fascination with Godzilla. They bring out a new version of Godzilla every year, and you go to Japan and there's Godzilla statues. They love it. And I don't get it, because isn't the whole thing is this giant sea monster thing coming to destroy your city, and they just cannot get enough of it.
Yeah, but it's people have weird obsessions with Lovecraftian horror and, the terrors of the deep and that sort of thing. That's never particularly good for civilization.
Yeah.
Right?
But specifically their civilization.
Yeah. Yeah, true. And maybe it's just that the Pacific Ocean's right there and it's, coming up out of the water. Yeah, Godzilla. Gojira. I saw them. French metal band.
Yeah.
Back in the day.
They're good. A lot of the questions that were footy related were about the hunger. Do you think the hunger is gone in this group?
Well, I haven't had breakfast today, and I didn't know whether that was trying to role play as a hungry person or so I'm doing method acting here. I think they're still hungry. I just think that it's the sort of thing where if you're hungry and you're missing both your legs, you're not going to run.
Yeah, I think. Do you think there is an element of contentness, I guess, within the group? I guess watching Melbourne right now, and then watching Freo and watching Sydney, you can see that they're on to something here, and that they're really willing to press and push for it. because they haven't had the ultimate success, and so they want that. And I guess it's just hard to see that in our group at the moment. And even myself, I'm sitting here going like, yeah, yesterday was shithouse, but oh well, at least I still got 2 flags that, like, I'm happy now. And there's a part of me that's like, okay, maybe we could use a longer off season, and maybe we can watch some other teams play finals. And yeah,
I'd argue that you're just more like psychologically stable and your relationship with football is slightly better, but that's that's each to their own. I don't think that really there's been we haven't looked rabid since that footage of Reece Matheson with foam coming out of his mouth in that one game against Richmond like 7 years ago. Like, we've never really been a rabid team. It's always been a control thing. So, and we're losing control. So I don't think that you could look at even the big games we've won and how we've won them. It hasn't been through like desire and hunger. It's been through control and method and that sort of a thing. So maybe we're looking for something that's never been there, so it's hard to notice if it's gone or if it still is there, I guess. It is annoying when you see players not like shirking out of tackles or contests and things like that. Like that's not what you want to see. And you don't see that very often, but it's the sort of thing where it's hard to quantify and to go, well, if you went back and watched all of the games and all of the contests from every one of the games, would you see the same things that you're seeing now? And the answer is probably yes. But I'm hungry, that's for sure. Hungry for breakfast.
Here's my question to you. Obviously, Freo next week at the Gabba. If we come out and win, whether it's 10 points, whether it's 50 points like we did last year or whatever it was, does that completely offset? You're holding up
46.
46, okay. Does that completely offset this week just gone? Like, the last 2 weeks, in fact? Like, if we get belted by Geelong and GWS, but then we come out and beat Freo, who are the ladder leaders, and whether it's because they've had an off game or we were particularly on or whatever, is that a hard reset? And like, okay, we're back, or not necessarily back, but does it go okay? Yeah,
it's not particle physics. You're not there or not there. Like it's not so black and white.
Does it make up for it, I guess?
No, I think internally it will. I think internally they'll look at it and go, because I don't think that they'll, much to the chagrin of everybody that saw this coming from a mile away, I don't think it'll be particularly heavily focused on. Fags are saying that the team won't get back until Tuesday, and then before you know that, you're prepping for the weekend, you're training, whatever. I don't know that it'll be...
The thing is, like, this week just gone, it felt like a big one because we've seen over the last couple of years, like, we're pretty good at responding after a tough loss, and we rarely have lost 2 in a row. And not only did that not happen, but it happened again and bigger and in far much more dramatic and concentrated way in a third quarter. We just got absolutely obliterated. So it was a bit of a shock. So...
Was the last time we lost 2 in a row when we lost to GWS and Collingwood?
Yeah,
before finals.
But
and that was arguably like the Collingwood game was dramatic as all hell.
Yes,
it wasn't quite the and the GWS one as well. I think we were 30 or 40 points ahead. So these kind of swings, I mean, we've been saying it. They have been happening for a while, but like, yeah, the response. I think the responses to losses last year, because we were backs against the wall. Last year, but we won a lot of the games that I guess we're against teams that were around us, or that's it. Whereas this year, I mean, who have we lost to? We've lost to Sydney, we've lost to Geelong, we've lost to GWS, we've lost to Melbourne.
And the Dogs.
Which, to quote your mate, like, it's not who you play, it's when you play them. Like, we've gotten teams at horrendous times just about every time. And I think if you're talking about hunger, yeah, the hunger's probably there for Sydney and GWS and Geelong, but what are the 3 teams that we kind of humiliated in the last 2 premierships have been those 3 teams, and they've now got one over us. which I think leads us in reasonable stead should we meet them again. Sucked in Collingwood, by the way, because smashed you. But yeah. Yeah.
I don't know where I'm
meandering nonsense.
It's an interesting thought, and I'm just, if it happens again on Saturday, we get absolutely smoked by Freo. Which, if we put out what we've put out the last couple of weeks, it will happen. Of course, it will. It's not going to be fun. And then we've got the Suns waiting as well.
Oh, no, of course it's not going to be fun. No, of course it won't be fun. There's ample opportunity, and I think this competition, the teams are getting better. The worst is pretty bad, but there's sort of that middling group, and it's been the case for about a couple of years, where the middling group are really, anyone can really beat anybody. So, I think that's kind of where we're at with that.
Well,
I still think we get a response, but yeah. I mean, we look at it and go, well, do we see a response? And it's like, well, can we respond with the players that we got? And I'm not sure that they can. I hope they can, though. So
I'll tell you what, that third quarter on Saturday is going to be a very interesting watch. There's going to be a lot of nervous people sitting around at the Gabba at halftime.
Yeah, well, make sure that they make some noise for them at halftime.
I wonder if they'll do something different. Like, I don't know if you can stay out on the ground at halftime or whether it's mandated. Well, no, you can't because I was kicking stuff. But I wonder if they'll do something a little bit different.
Fuck them off. They leaked the whiteboard. Get them out of there. I would. Yeah. I mean, you know me. I'd go entirely different. I'd say, like, get rid of all the audio-visual stimulus and just say we're going back to the 1900s, boys. Like, there's no technology other than, well, that probably doesn't even need to be lights. Oh, maybe they would. Yeah, I'd say, like, keep it quiet, make them as uncomfortable as possible, make them on edge.
All right, well, let's go.
They won't do that.
Let's finish things off. We've got a game for you today, and
but also, just before we start this game, I did solicit the questions for people to do a quiz, so we didn't have to talk about the game, and the community failed dismally. Failed.
No. Fair enough. I think no one's really feeling it. Like, I'm not feeling it. Like, normally I'd go and watch First Crack and listen to Fireball or something like that. I have just done none of that so far. So, and I'm not in a rush to either. Monday means test, that's not going to be a thing for me this week.
Yeah, I mean, the Monday means test, I think since Buckley's gone, I think it's not been as good, but, you know.
All right, I've got a game for you this week, and a good time to remind everyone to head to our website, brisbanelionsfancast.com.au, and get involved. We've got shirts for sale, of course, the Fancast merch, and you can also throw some money our way at our tip jar as well. It's all very much appreciated to keep things going and to keep petrol in the cars and keep Patrick eating breakfast and just all that sort of stuff. So if you like what we do and you want to support us, there's plenty of ways you can do that. But, if you've got to spare a couple of bucks, we'd really appreciate it. All right, it's all about goals this week. Now, I did put these together before the GWS game. So the numbers might be off, but it's not going to affect the result. Put it that way.
Okay.
So who's kicked more goals for the Brisbane Lions? So your first matchup is Alistair Lynch and Charlie Cameron, so it's not including any goals that Lynchy kicked for Fitzroy or the Bears, and it's not including any goals that Charlie Cameron kicked for the Crows. So it's just Brisbane Lions only. Now, these numbers are from AFL tables.
Does that mean they're reliable or that they're
and they should
maverick?
Be. They should be.
Yeah. Okay, well, that Bears and Lions distinguishment, because, Lynchy played fullback for Fitzroy, so
yeah.
I'm going to go Charlie Cameron, but I think if it was the Bears, I think Lynchy wins.
Yes, you're right. 372 for Charlie Cameron and 371 for Alistair Lynch. That was before the GWS game, so Charlie's got a few more since then, but he was winning anyway.
Well, it's a good thing Alistair Lynch didn't kick a couple goals on the weekend.
Yes.
He probably could have if he was there.
All right, your next matchup is Eric Hipwood and Jason Ackermanis.
Damn, you've done a thing because I can't play the player here because I like both these guys. Hipwood.
Hipwood, well done. 287 for Eric Hipwood and 263 for Acker.
Hipwood's got more goals than I thought he had.
Same, which is exactly why I put him in here this week.
I remember that he had more goals than, well, he was on track to have more goals than Gary Lyon, which made me very happy because the idea of Eric Hipwood finishing his career with a premiership medal and more goals than Gary Lyon, who's in the Hall of Fame for Melbourne, just makes me feel happy. I don't know why.
All right, next matchup. Two of the best to ever do it, Michael Voss and Simon Black.
Oh, does this include Bears?
No. Brisbane Lions. only.
Oh. I think this is the same as the Lynch one, so I think I'm going to go with Black, but I think if it was Bears, Voss would win on the goal front.
Voss still gets the win, 173 and 171 for Simon Black.
I should have gone with the gut because
Here you go, a couple of redheads
like
for you. Mitch Robbo and Big Sauce Merritt. Now, don't forget, there was a very weird period of time where Daniel Merritt was our full forward for, I guess, half a season to a season.
He probably kicked about 60 goals, but he kicked all of them, like 2/3 of them in one game, right?
Yeah. Now, Mitch Robbo, only goals for the Lions.
Mitch Robbo.
Just 71 for Robbo and 70 for Big Sauce.
That was a good guess for Sauce as well, given I didn't watch a lot of the Lions when he was playing full forward. So,
all right, next one. Froggy Lester and Brendan Favola. Now, obviously, across the careers, the answer would scream out, but Brisbane Lions only.
So Fev kicked, 38 goals in that one season, I reckon, there or thereabouts. So has Lester kicked more than that in his career? I'd say no. Bev.
I've stitched you up here. They're both on 48.
Did I say 48?
You said 38, which was pretty good. All right, and your last one, Josh Shackey and Beast Mode Reese Matheson.
Well, I'm going to go beast mode because I don't like Shackey.
Fair shout. 29 for Reese and 25 for Josh Shackey, which is more than I thought as well.
But that's 0.4 goals per game, which is shit. Shackey can fuck off to the Dogs and keep fucking off to Melbourne.
He's now playing
Can
local
you guess
footy
I
and
don't
a real
like
estate
Shackey?
agent. Yeah, you're not alone there, mate. You're not alone.
Oh, he's a real estate agent. Okay, cool.
Yeah, classic AFL, ex-AFL player trajectory. There you go.
Did you see Melbourne's... We're going to get political here. Did you see Melbourne's banner on the weekend?
I didn't.
So it was a callback to 2016.
Sure.
They played the long game. So back in the long years ago of 2016, Bulldogs must have been around an election, and it said something about you're worrying about your negative gearing and we'll still be cheering or something like that.
Sure.
Back in 2016, and then this week Melbourne said we might have lost negative gearing, but we'll still be cheering or something of that effect. So playing the long game there, Melbourne.
Yeah, right.
And all of those upper middle class Melbourne fans with their investment properties probably not having a good time at the moment. But we'll wait and see. Doesn't matter. Cut this bit, please.
Nah, why not? Leave it in.
Oh dear.
All right.
I'm not exactly playing my political card here. It's like I'm but one voter. It doesn't matter. So
Last
I just
little bit.
like seeing people lose their shit.
Chook Chat. Next game this Saturday, 30th of May, back at Maruka. 6:30 p.m. game. It's going to be a big day at Maruka, actually. I think the 45s are playing at 10 or 10:30 in the morning. Then the seniors, then the reserves, then the women's, and then the Masters women's, and then the over 35s. Headline act at 6:30 p.m.
Any threat of rain?
Yes.
That field's going to be chopped up as all hell by that time. So have fun throwing back to the 80s where you will be wearing a brown Guernsey. Who are you playing against?
I don't actually know. I have to double check that.
Well, hopefully they're not majority white. Actually, any colour doesn't really matter because it'll all be brown in the end. So
Should be a fun day, though.
Hopefully you can have a better game than your worst 4-goal game ever, you absolute goose.
I hope so too. Thank you.